Hello everyone, warm welcome to Super Coaching Regulatory Bodies YouTube channel by Testbook. My name is Madhav Sir. I welcome you all in a very important session where we are going to discuss the weekly updates related to finance. We know this very well if you are preparing for any of the regulatory bodies, for that matter any of the bank exams. Finance is going to play a really very important role, and in order to help you guys, we at Testbook provides you with a weekly session where we cover all the important current affairs related to finance from the past 1 week. As you can check on the screen itself, today we will be discussing all the important current affairs from 19th of November. From 19th of November to 26th of November, which are really very important for your upcoming examination. So without any further delay guys, let's begin the discussion without any further delay. But before I start the discussion, I would request everyone quickly share the link of this session with your friends so that more and more students, they can join us live in this particular session. What I'll do is I will be copying the link along with you. You also do it with me. Let's quickly copy the link of this particular session and share it with your friends so that more and more students, they can join us live. And once you have shared the link, just give me yes sir so that we can begin the discussion without any further delay. Fine guys, so okay. So let's quickly copy the link, share it with your friends, and then I'll start the discussion. I'm pretty sure today I have many important things to discuss in this particular session. All these things are going to help you a lot in order to answer the questions which would be asked in your upcoming examination. Chalo, let's begin the discussion. Here we go. Before I start the discussion, you all know this very well. 6 p.m. is very important time slot because Monday to Saturday on Testbook Super Coaching Regulatory Bodies YouTube channel, we comes up with the weekly current affairs where we include the weekly current affairs. I call them as PIB, weekly current affairs, where all the PIB related important current affairs are discussed in one separate session. Then on Tuesday, that is today, we have weekly finance current affairs. Tomorrow I will be coming up with weekly RBI updates where we'll discuss the RBI notifications, circulars, RBI press release, and many more. On Thursday, we have weekly government schemes. Then we have ESI current affairs. And finally, on Saturday, we have the weekly important reports and indices. If you want to download the PDF of this session, you can scan this code, join my Telegram channel, and I will be updating the same PDF on my Telegram channel as well. Let's move ahead and let's start with the first news of the day. So the first news is related to a term that is EFTA, which I will be discussing in much detail. So India and EFTA trade agreement. If I ask you what does the term EFTA stands for, what will be your answer? If anyone asks you the term EFTA stands for what will be your answer to this particular question? We will be discussing this, and what kind of trade agreement is being referred in this particular news I will be discussing, and along with that with which nation this EFTA has been discussed will be discussed in this particular session. So let's begin. The first point I have is Commerce Secretary Sunil Bhartwal recently visited Norway. So it is basically related to a visit of one of the Indian diplomats, and the name is Sunil Bhartwal. Who is he? Sir, he is the Commerce Secretary. So the Commerce Secretary Sunil Bhartwal recently visited Norway and aimed to discuss the swift implementation of a free trade agreement. Now, what do you understand by a word free trade agreement? If I give you an overview, see, whenever countries, they get into a trade facility, import and export of goods and services is done. We know this very well. If I take the example of India, if we are importing the goods from any other nation, on those goods, custom duty is charged. Now the question is, what is this custom duty basically? We can call it in a very simple terms that, sir, it is a tax which is charged on the goods which are going to be utilized in India, but they are not manufactured in India. I'll take a very simple example for this. Let's suppose a car which is manufactured outside India, and now the car is going to run in India and cause pollution. That means the externalities are going to be witnessed by the Indian society unlike the benefits which would have been enjoyed if the nation was the one where the car is being manufactured. For example, the car is manufactured in India, then obviously we say that the industry is providing employment opportunities to the nation, it is uplifting the living standards of the public, but unfortunately it has been manufactured in other country and now it is being utilized or it is being consumed in India, where it is impacting the society, it is impacting the environment. So in order to overcome this impact, government will charge a tax that is known as custom duty. So I'm just giving you the logic behind tax which is charged on the import or imported goods. Now the question is, what is free trade agreement? So this is basically an agreement where countries, they come together under and they sign an agreement which is a mutual agreement where the nations, they decide to trade with each other without charging that custom duty, which will undoubtedly enhance the trade relations as well as it will enhance the volume of trade between the two nations which are tying up the trade agreement. So recently, Indian Commerce Secretary Sunil Bhartwal has recently visited Norway and aimed to discuss the swift implementation of a free trade agreement. This agreement is between India and European Free Trade Association. So this is very important. What is this EFTA? So EFTA stands for European Free Trade Association. As you all know that the European nations or the nations which are under European Union, these nations, they allow free movement of goods and services as well as labor. So that is done under this particular association. So India is tying up an agreement with the same association. So EFTA consists of Iceland, it consists of Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland. So this EFTA, I'm not saying that it includes all the European Union or all the countries under European Union. Basically, I was explaining you that European Union allows the nations to allow the labor freely move from one nation to another in a similar manner. EFTA is an organization which allows Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland to carry out free trade between the nations. So Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement was signed in March. However, the implementation is still not decided. So India has already signed Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement with EFTA, that is European Free Trade Association, which includes Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland, but its implementation has not been done. Even the date is not decided on which the implementation of this agreement is going to be done. Now, what are the reasons or the objective behind this visit? So Bhartwal's primary goal was to enhance trade relation, obviously with Norway as well as the other member countries of EFTA, where he sought to open extensive EFTA market for Indian goods and services. Additionally, he advocated for an investment plan worth $100 billion. This plan aims to boost economic ties between India and EFTA. So objective of the visit is, first objective is that Bhartwal has basically visited Norway in order to enhance the trade relations between the nations come under the EFTA, that is Europe Free Trade Association nations, which include Liechtenstein, Norway, Switzerland and one more, that is Iceland. Now, the next point is, he also discussed a plan, and the name of the plan is, that is $100 billion of investment plan has been discussed in order to enhance the economic relations. Along with this, the next point which is important, during his visit, he met Thomas Norvoll. Norvoll is Norway's State Secretary for Trade and Industry and Fisheries. They discussed several key topics, such as they talked about the increasing trade and investment. They also focus on improving the mobility for Indian professionals. Another important point was the rectification and implementation of TEPA, which has been already signed between India and EFTA back in March 2024. Next point is India's seafood exports. This is very important. We know that India's seafood has increased, or export of seafood has increased over the period of time. Recently, during this visit, India's seafood export has increased over the last decade. They have doubled to $7.3 billion, which is equivalent to 17.81 lakh metric tons. Why I'm discussing this? The reason is European Union has become India's second largest seafood market. So this is very important that we have witnessed the increase in our seafood export. But the second point which is important, European Union has become India's second largest seafood market. It purchases approximately $0.95 billion worth of seafood annually. India boasts 500 European Union approved seafood processing companies, which means that Indian seafood companies are growing as we are increasing our export to the European Union market. India is the European Union's second largest supplier of shrimp if we go category specific. It holds an 8% market share in this sector. Additionally, India contributes 12% of the European Union's squid imports, and this marks India's vital role in the European seafood market. So the discussion signify potentially to increase this mark of India's presence in terms of seafood market, as well as the main agenda of the visit is successful implementation of trade and economic partnership agreement between EFTA and India. So EFTA is important. Member countries of EFTA are important. Along with this, you must remember that European Union has become the India's second largest export destination of seafoods. If I conclude my discussion, then I will be concluding with the last term. That is three important terms which can be important. So India's seafood has doubled over the last 10 years. Currently, India's seafood market is $7.3 billion. Secondly, what is TEPA? Trade and Economic Partnership Agreement was signed in March. It is basically to increase trade relations between India and EFTA nations, which include Iceland, Norway, Liechtenstein, and Switzerland. Last is EFTA, European Free Trade Association, include these four nations in order to promote free trade and economic integration among its member states. And recently, this organization has tied up with India in order to enhance trade relations with India, but the implementation is still pending. And in order to implement it, the recent visit has been done by the Commerce Secretary of India, and this visit was done in Norway. Got it, guys? Clear? The conclusion is clear for this particular news. If it is clear and you want me to move to the next news, just give me yes, sir, so that I can move to the next news, please. May I have the answers, please, guys, in the comment section? Is it clear till this point? Shall I move ahead? Is it clear till this point? Shall I move ahead? Let's move on to the next news. The next news I have is IMF approves Sri Lanka's third bailout review. Now we know that Sri Lanka is an economy which was under crisis, and during this crisis, not only IMF, World Bank, but the nations like India has also provided financial assistance to Sri Lanka so that it can survive the current tough scenario. Is it clear? Now, if I move to the next point, what this bailout review is and what is the third bailout review, let's talk about this. So recently, IMF has recently approved the third review of Sri Lanka's $2.9 billion bailout on November 2023-24. If someone asks you, so what do you understand by the term bailout? How you are going to define this term? What do you understand by the term bailout? May I have a reply, please? Any idea, guys? Anyone? Those who are live? Those who are listening to me, can you give me the answer? What do you understand by the term bailout? This term bailout was in news, if I'm not wrong, in 2017 or 18 as well. And this was an important aspect for the day-to-day discussion. So bailout is basically the act of giving financial assistance to a falling economy in order to save it from collapse. So whenever the word bailout is used, so bailout is a special term which is designated for a particular company, individual or country which is falling down, and this amount of loan is given or the financial assistance is given in order to support the country, nation or economy and avoid its declaration as default nation. So recently, third third review of Sri Lanka's $2.9 billion bailout was done. The country economy is still fragile despite the approval and will release approximately $3,300 million, raising the fund to about $1.3 billion. So the Sri Lankan economy is still fragile, and where there will be a release of $33 million and the total funding is going to be about $1.3 billion. So Sri Lanka has faced worst financial crisis in 70 years in 2002, which involved a severe shortage of dollars and skyrocketing inflation, which peaked at 70%. So the economy shrank. Shrank means there was not a growth, rather there was a contraction, 7.3% during the crisis, and it contracted by 2.3% in the next year, that is 2023. IMF has noted signs of economic recovery in Sri Lanka, and Sri Lankan rupee has been appreciated by 11.3% in the recent months. So if you say Sri Lankan economy is surviving, I would say it is on the race of recovery, and 11.3% of rupee has been, or Sri Lankan currency has been appreciated. Inflation has dropped to zero, prices decreased by 0.8% last month, and the economy is projected to grow by 4.4%, which will be the first growth year in last 3 years. IMF has emphasized the need for Sri Lanka to complete essential steps. These include restructuring commercial debt and finalizing agreements with official creditors. Restructuring commercial debt. See, this is a very important term, not only with respect to Sri Lanka, but it is important for your day-to-day finance discussion. Whenever we talk about NPA, in order to overcome the NPA losses, in order to control the NPA losses, there is a term known as restructuring of asset or restructuring of commercial loan. What it basically means, try to understand this point. See, whenever there is a situation, so whenever there is a situation, let's say an individual has borrowed a loan from a bank, and the borrowing is done for 10 years. Amount of borrowing is, let's say, 10 lakh, and the lending rate is 10% per annum. Okay. Now, after a few months, borrower, after borrowing the loan, started repaying the loan, gave the installments, but unfortunately, this loan was declared as NPA, non-performing asset, which means for last 90 days, no principal or interest is paid. For last 90 days, no principal and interest is paid. Simple. Now, once the loan is declared as NPA, obviously recoveries need to be done, but in order to initiate the recovery or in order to get into the process of recovery, it's quite tough for a bank. Once the loan is declared as NPA, after the loan is declared as NPA, and even before the loan is declared as NPA, if the customer itself approaches to the bank or bank approaches to the customer and customer comes up with a statement that, sir, when I borrowed the loan, I was in a position to pay back it, but unfortunately today I don't have adequate amount or my business is not doing well so that I can pay back my installments as per the pre-decided agreement or obligations. Now, I have a choice. Either you can declare my loan as NPA, start the recovery, but unfortunately, this is a unsecured loan. You won't be able to recover much. Second is, as you know that I'm not doing well and I'm not in a position to pay back my entire loan on the same rate, we can come up with a solution. And the solution is bank can restructure the loan. What is the meaning of restructuring the loan? So restructure basically means bank may either increase the time period. Bank may increase the time period from 10 years to 20 years. Bank can even revise the lending rate from 10% to 8% per annum, which means EMI, that is equated monthly installment, will decrease, and that decreased EMI can be paid back by the borrower who is not doing well in terms of its operations, in terms of its business. So whenever the loan parameters are revised, loan parameters are revised within the tenor of the loan is known as restructuring, where generally the time period is increased, lending rate is decreased so that EMI decreases and the company or the entity which is on the verge to be declared as default can pay these installments, or I would say the decreased installment, in order to avoid the step or process of NPA and then recovery. So that is basically known as a restructuring of asset. The same has been advised to the Sri Lankan economy, that the loan which you have given to the corporates, to the companies, you can restructure that loan so that they can pay back those loans with low rate of interest, with low value of EMI over the upcoming period. So Sri Lanka must complete a $12.5 billion debt restructuring with bondholders. President Anura Kumar aims to finalize this restructuring in December, and the country will negotiate debt agreements with bilateral creditors like China, Japan and India as a part of 10 billion restructuring plan. So these are the 10 billion restructuring plan, and these are the nations with which the restructuring will be done. So here the borrower is Sri Lanka and the lender is China, India, Japan, with which this restructuring is going to be done. That I will be paying your fund, don't worry, but I will be paying them pretty slowly. Now, if I conclude the discussion, then important facts, we all know that what is IMF, we all know what is debt restructuring now, which I have just discussed, and Sri Lankan rupee has also been discussed. These are the important areas from where the questions can be framed. Is it clear, everyone? Shall I move on to the next question? Is it clear, everyone? Shall I move on to the next news? The next news is now on your screen. AI. We are listening this term on daily basis. The situation is, especially the nation like India, which is a labor-intensive nation, it is in a position where the laborers, they are worried that they are going to lose their job because of AI, and that is the reason India is one of the nations where AI is not only looked as a positive impact on the, or a positive instrument for the economy, rather it has looked upon as a negative tool for the economy, or it is looked as a tool which is going to destroy the economy in the near future. But on the other side, India is doing pretty well. India is among the 10 countries with AI readiness. What I'm trying to say, as per the latest report which is provided by the Boston Consulting Group. So Boston Consulting Group has come up with a report where it has assessed AI readiness across 73 countries. In this particular report, India ranks second globally for AI specialists and third for the research publication. So India is on the second rank in terms of AI specialist and third rank in terms of AI related research. So these are the highlights which has been done under this particular report with respect to India. Out of 73 countries, India is on the second rank and third rank related to AI specialists and research publications respectively. Report also indicates that over 70% of the countries, they struggle in areas like ecosystem participation and skill development. Despite these challenges, India has shown important progress in the AI integration. AI impact multiple sectors in India. Business services represent 60%. Remember that business services represent 16% of GDP, can enhance government operations, and retail sector contributing 10% of the GDP can reduce waste and optimize supply chain. Public services accounting for 6% can improve service delivery. So these are the better impacts of AI which India can witness in the near future. Agriculture, forestry, fishery, which contribute 70% of the GDP, stand to gain from AI through precision farming as well as risk management. So AI will also help the agriculture sector and improve the agriculture productivity. Construction sector can also have the benefits of AI, especially arts and personal services can benefit from AI managing public facilities. Some recommendations to harness AI potential. The report suggests several measures. First one is strengthening infrastructure, enhance AI research. Expanding workforce training, particularly in rural areas, is essential so that workforce, they can know how to use AI and how to take AI as their helping tool rather than their competing tool. Last but not the least is obviously investment in research hubs is need to be done if India want to grow in the growing world of technological advancement, especially related to artificial intelligence. Is it clear, everyone? So this is all about the discussion, but along with that, I have added some words, important facts related to your exams. What is BCG, Boston Consulting Group? What is precision farming? It's an important word. What is public-private partnership? What is public-private partnership? It basically means when the government companies, they tie up with the private companies in order to introduce the efficiency and effectiveness of private industry into a government industry or into a government sector. This triple P is done. And these days, triple P is one of the most reliable and highly invested sector in the economy, especially the country or the developing countries like India. So remember all these terms, go through with the PDF so that you can answer these questions in the examination. Last but not the least, I have is 1 minute news, which I won't be discussing much because this is the Forex reserves of India and it is updated on regular basis. As per the latest update on 15th of November, India's Forex reserve was $657.89 billion, which include almost $65 billion of gold. And earlier, this reserve was $675 billion. Now it has dropped down to $657. The decline of $17.7 billion occurred due to RBI selling dollars to stabilize rupees. So RBI has sold down rupees or dollars in the economy so that we can decrease the demand on dollars in order to decrease or in order to avoid the further depreciation of rupees with respect to dollars. SDR is an important form of reserve, which is special drawing rights. These are the rights which are given to the nation, given to the member nations of IMF. So SDR is special drawing rights up to which India can withdraw the funds from IMF, and that is $18.06 billion. So India reserves have increased by $11.5 billion in September, and the peak was $704 billion. And right now this value is $657 billion. But still, India is the fourth nation in terms of value of reserves or Forex reserves after China, Japan, and Switzerland. So RBI is responsible to manage the Forex reserve, and RBI also sell or purchase the dollars from the Indian market in order to stabilize the rupee depending upon the requirement. If you see that rupee is depreciating with respect to dollars, then RBI will sell the dollars in the market in order to decrease the demand of dollars with respect to rupees in order to stabilize it or in order to decrease that depreciation trend. So this is how RBI utilize the Forex reserves to manage the exchange rates, and that is the reason we call India is following managed floating exchange rate. If you want to know about this, I will be discussing about these exchange rates in my upcoming sessions to go. Now, if you want to clear your upcoming examination, and that too in the very first attempt, I have a solution for you. The solution is RBI Grade B 2025 Lakshya Batch. Use code MADHAV in order to enjoy maximum discount on this batch. This is not a batch actually, it is a subscription model where you'll get access to n number of courses, which include current affairs courses, phase 1 courses, phase 2 courses in both the languages, Hindi as well as English, n number of mock tests for phase 1, phase 2, and in phase 2 mock tests, you will even get the same, I would say, scenario where you will be typing your descriptive answers, and that descriptive answer interface will be same as that you are going to get in the examination. So do not forget to join this batch if you want assistance from the experts from day 1 till the time you join RBI as a Grade B officer. You can download the PDF of this session from a Telegram channel. You can scan the code, join the channel, and I will be sharing the PDF in some time. Thank you so much for joining, guys. We'll catch you in the upcoming sessions to go. Good luck. Don't forget to go through with the PDF in order to follow the entire content, which will help you to clear your upcoming examination. Good luck. God bless you.